All right, so I'm back again. This time, really, really strange one, which is that there are reports, and this is according to Engadget again, on the 28th, which is yesterday, that Amazon, well, the National Labor Relations Board has been accusing Amazon of threatening the workers of JFK 8 warehouse in New York. And this is to discourage them from unionizing. So I would assume that these would be supervisory or managerial people that might have been, threatening the workers to not become unionized. But what's super strange about this is the fact that they have to be threatened in the first place. Now, the thing about unions is it's really, really tricky from my experience as well. I've been a manager for a while, and I have had union workers who would threaten me if I make any decision per se regarding decisions that I made, etc. Not working for Amazon, obviously, but I'm just kind of speaking about the two sides of things, because the one side is that being in a union is really good for workers, and workers have redress if something happens that is wrong, etc. But at the same time, of course, there's challenges as well, and that happens particularly maybe more in the developing world as opposed to the set world like the US, etc. In terms of the overall aspect, though, I'm a little confused as to why unionizing is going to be such an issue for Amazon. This is the article here under Engadget, and you can have a read of it. I didn't go through everything. It was just just I saw it and it was like, what's a big deal? Why is unionizing such an issue for Amazon? Well, of course, I think that if they were to be unionized, of course, the chances are the salaries may go up, and there's a possibility that productivity may go down. Let me explain this in by starting off with salaries and unions. Unions, they join together and they have the resources of many of the employees usually, so they could take things to court. They could fight for the employees' rights on a different level, right? On a legal level, so to speak. Whereas single employees may not be able to do that. I think you understand that. So the thing is that of course salaries in the US have been going up. I mean, I remember salaries. I used to watch YouTube and I would see the salaries being like, I would have some people working for less than $10 an hour. Now it seems that the salaries are like $15 an hour, $20 an hour, and I'm sure it's higher for other sectors. And the thing is, of course, as I said, number one in probably an employee's heart is either being appreciated at work or enjoying their work, or having a good salary, right? And in fact, even having a good salary isn't always enough if you're not appreciated at work, if that makes sense. So the thing is, yes, salaries is probably one of the issues that's going to happen, and that's why it's such a major thing that they don't probably want unions. But at the same time, if people have really high requirements in their jobs, the chances are, if it seems inhumane, you could take that to court, and you could probably drop the amount of work that person requires, and hence that will also affect the output of the company, and so they may need to hire other people to do the same or additional for some of that work. You have to add another person in, which costs money, which costs labor, and so there's less profit for the company. But what really confuses me is these these companies, it's not just Amazon, but these companies that make so much profit, and we know that the owners are the CEOs, etc. They make this. I mean, he's a billionaire, right? So we know that Amazon was so profitable that he became so rich. Whether he's taking that kind of money now or not is beside the point. What I'm referring back to is that if it's that profitable still, then there shouldn't really be so much of an issue if he's getting so much profit to put it back into labor, because where does that money go? If it doesn't go to the CEO, who else does it go to? And there's probably going to still have money remaining, right? That goes into account somewhere, and I don't know what happens to that. But it really confuses me on a global scale that companies are so profitable, so rich, and that money goes into some account, and what happens to that account is what confuses me, because it's not like you always go out and purchase another company or purchase another diversify in something else. Sometimes it's just there as profit, and you don't really know what happens to it. And I don't think there's like a some sort of public disclosure of what the money goes towards. I just wonder if it just stays in an account and just builds. So the thing is, I'm kind of for the idea of unionizing, because we don't live in a society long ago where it's slave labor, right? You live in a society hopefully more humane, and it's not just humane, but we set our minds that people who are dedicated to work, you reward them for their work, and obviously you will never be able to reward them 100%, but you could still reward them, a little bit of the times, right? So, I think for a big company, this sets a really, really bad example. And it may not necessarily be all in the company. It may not necessarily be at the top of the company. But it reflects really badly on Amazon, especially for us who purchase from Amazon. It makes me wonder if I should be using another product, another resource in order to get my products in. One of the things that Amazon has going for it is it's super efficient. It does a really, really good job. I mean, it's really, really big in terms of not just buying, purchasing products, but Twitch, for example, is part of Amazon as well too. So they are diversified. I mean, there's data centers as well that is part of Amazon as well. So they are diversified, and they with the intention of making profit, right? And the whole idea of profit is that you're not just going to be breaking even, but you're going to actually have profit. What happens to that part? It's just, well, if it's not going to be used by anybody, then unions should not really be a problem, right? Because the whole essence of unions is for the good of the company, because the greatest asset a company has is really it's people. I mean, until there's robots, until there's probably other automated processes, you need people in order to make these companies work, right? And right now with the pandemic, a lot of people are leaving and reviewing what they want to do. At this point in time, you want to encourage people to have, for example, better pay or being safe on the job. I mean, the thing is, there's also reports, of course, that people get injured. Excuse me. People get injured sometimes in the warehouses and so forth. Sometimes they're overworked in the warehouses, and for a company that is in the developed world, completely developed world, as we say, we look towards them to be the examples. And I don't want to crush Amazon completely, because they have been examples. I remember that they raised pay for their workers. So, they could do, I think they could, well, I mean, I think that they don't have a right to threaten to not have unions. I think that is, the right of the worker, especially if it's under law, that they should do it like that, and really, really quit at these things, because it's making them look really super bad. And I would say that the first thing I would look at, and I think that what looks really, really bad here, is most probably supervisors. You would not expect these people who are supervising to be threatening people. I mean, that's such a old time technology that's I would say some level of illiteracy to threaten people when it comes to something like this. It's really it really should not be happening, and I hope that somebody from Amazon really, really cracks down on this. There's somebody in HR, I know, and I believe in you that you are a good person and that you could crack this down, because they should not be assuming if this article is correct, they should not be threatening people, And with that being said, I think I'll have to probably move on to another topic because I don't want to keep going on. But this is just my thoughts about Amazon, and it's surprising, guys. I mean, it's unbelievable that we live in a different time, a more, as I said, a more humane time, a time where we are greater thinkers, and yet we see these stories. But this is not just for Amazon. As I said, we still have really weird things happening in the world, and this is probably just one of the strange things. But I wait to see. I feel like it's too long. I keep hearing that they want to do to become unionized, but for some reason they aren't. And I think it's about time that they get over this hurdle. It kind of sounds to me like some level of slavery that they're fighting to come out of, and they can't seem to get that support. And I just hope that it's gonna conclude, and they're gonna be able to have proper representatives for them, and move on from there and become an even greater company. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for viewing. If there's any topic that you want me to just talk about, this is kind of like my personal opinion, of course, and it does not reflect on any companies that I work for, etc. This is just what I think about some of the things that are happening in tech. With that being said, see you guys again soon. Bye bye.